as the year 2024 comes to an end. The year 2025 for the Maryland Terps basketball team presents hope, potential, success, and longevity at the top of hopefully not only the Big Ten, but the entire NCAA. It's more basketball. That's right, Maryland Terps basketball is in full swing. We're back at it again right here on the Flex Zone podcast. Wishing you, first and foremost, a happy new year to you and yours, and we appreciate all of the Flex Zone podcast members, the Flex Zone family. We couldn't have done this year without you. Our biggest year yet. And in 2025, we're even bigger, even faster, even stronger. Continuing the Maryland content, Orioles content, Commanders content, Ravens content, and all the other content in between, the pro wrestling, and all the other things we do on the channel. If you're new, slam dunk that subscribe button, lay up that like button, bulldoze that bell, give it a nice block, and sound off in the comment section. What are your plans for the new year? Wish us a happy new year. What do you think about Maryland football, Maryland basketball? We got a great interview with the great Jeff Ehrman of Inside Maryland Sports. Check that out on the channel. It's linked below. But comment. Any comment helps us, good, bad, and different. It helps us become in the YouTube algorithm where we want to be. And we want to, again, wish you a happy new year. Hope you've had a great holiday season. And Maryland, heading into 2025, very, very strong and could need your dancing shoe size. But we'll get to that momentarily. As Maryland basketball will celebrate the new year as they head out west. They travel across the country as the Terps will face Washington and Oregon. They will face Washington on Thursday, respectively, and Oregon on Sunday, their first big road swing of the season. After that, they come back home and they have a second chance against UCLA. Remember, this is the third straight year they will play. They are 1-1, so they have a chance to take a 2-1 series lead. This was the worst loss in the Kevin Willard era the first time they played UCLA, but the number 22 UCLA Bruins, I think even now as high as 15, I think after the rankings now, they travel to College Park on January 10th. That is a Friday Night Lights, 8 p.m. start, so that'll be a big-time game as well. The Bruins beat Maryland by 27 points in College Park 2 years ago, so this is the first time they are back since they whooped their ass 2 years ago. Maryland beat them by 9 last year. A great Jameer Young game. That was a wonderful job by them going out west and getting a win. This was part of a non-conference home and home, but little did we know in just a few months with the schedule, these teams will now be in the same conference, playing each other every year in the Big Ten. The early season slate will challenge Maryland. They've played only one road game. The Terps not only are playing on the road, but they travel 2,744 miles to Seattle. 3 straight games against new Big Ten teams, a combined record of 29-7. So if you've been wondering how good the Terps basketball team is, the next week or so is going to tell you. Washington, UCLA, and Oregon, 29-7 combined record. That is going to tell you a lot. Not only that, they then head into Big Ten conference play. So from now through the rest of the season, we're going to see how good this team is, how they play on the road, and how they play stiffer competition. Tough loss to Marquette, attaboy. Beat Villanova in a close game, attaboy. You lose to Purdue on the road, attaboy. So you haven't beat a ranked team yet, and that is not good. But your net rating, which the pundits and the selection committee individuals look at, is top 15. So you got to think. You're going on a West Coast swing. You can go 1-1, beat Washington. You got Oregon, see what happens. Those could be statement victories that can help your net rating as you get ready to not only be a potential top seed in the Big Ten Conference, but in the NCAA, where you don't have to play in their first 4. Maryland has a brief history against West Coast teams. They've played UCLA 10 times, but have never taken on Oregon or Washington. They've matched up with other teams on the West Coast. UNLV, they 1-4 against. Gonzaga, 1-3. California, 2-0. Pepperdine, 2-0. Oregon State, 1-0. Against the Bruins, Maryland and UCLA have faced off 10 times. Maryland, 3-7, scored 98 points less than the Bruins in the season series history. They suffered a blowout in College Park in 2022, 87-60. Also lost 105-70 in the second round of the 1999-2000 NCAA tournament when UCLA at the time, in the early 2000s, 99-2000, UCLA made 14 three-pointers. So they are always ahead of the curve out there in UCLA. Remember the great John Wooden days, Lou Alcindor, and even through the Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love days. The Terps got their revenge last year. Jameer Young had a great game, 37 points, 19 shots. Maryland got a big-time statement road win, 69-60 in L.A., but this will just be the third straight year of the meeting on January 10th when the Bruins come to College Park. In 1998, then number 5 Maryland beat number 10 UCLA in the Puerto Rico shootout as Terrace Morris matched his career high with 22 points. Real quick on UNLV, Maryland, as I mentioned, is 1-4 against UNLV, and it's been close games each time. They faced 5 times between 1978 and 1986. The total point differential between the two schools was just 2 points. 4 of the 5 games decided by 2 possessions, and 2 matchups were one-score finishes. So as we get ready for this West Coast trip, and as you look at the Terps basketball schedule here, as I'll pull it up here, you see they have a Thursday evening game because they're 3 hours behind on the West Coast. They play Washington. Washington's unranked. I'm expecting Maryland to get that win. That could bring them 3. Then you go to Oregon. I'll say Maryland loses that. They then are 12-4. I think they come back home and beat UCLA, who is now number 15. They win that game. They are now 13-4 through the first 17. Then you got home game against Minnesota, on the road against Northwestern. You got Nebraska at home. You go to Illinois at the end of January. You got Indiana on the road, Wisconsin at home, and then you go to Ohio State to start February. So strictly Big Ten after this West Coast trip. Well, it's Big Ten now from here on out with Washington and Oregon. But after this West Coast swing, you come home and you got some West Coast teams in UCLA coming. You got Minnesota coming. Northwestern, you go there, as mentioned, going to Illinois. So some big tests coming up for this team. But if you can get to 13-4 in your first 17, you have possibly a win over either UCLA or Oregon, 2 perennial top 15 teams that can help your net rating. And looking at the keys real quick as we look at the schedule, I think they should beat Washington, but I think it'll be a close game on the road. The keys: start fast, limit your turnovers, force the other team to turn the ball over, because I'm loving the pressure and press of Kevin Willard. I think he's done a wonderful job with this team. I think stay out of foul trouble if you are the twin towers of Derek Queen and Julian Reese. Stay out of foul trouble. And I would say the biggest key of them all through this series, and if you look back at the games, the next 3 games, how well do they shoot the basketball? That will tell me a lot of how they do on this trip. If they shoot the ball well, they will be successful. Obviously, teams are going to pack the paint. Obviously, teams are going to look to collapse down below the free throw line on Julian Reese, on Derek Queen. They're going to dare others to beat you. Rodney Rice, Gillespie, Miguel. These individuals are going to have to step up. Deshaun Harris-Smith, Geronimo, Malachi Palmer. We're going to have to get guys to step up. Not only step up, but make shots. Not only three-pointers, but free throws and mid-range shots. And when you get an opportunity inside the lane, finish the easy bunnies, because they're going to be collapsing, as I mentioned, on Derek Queen and Julian Reese. They're probably going to see some double teams, so they're going to dare other guys to shoot from the perimeter. We know that's been a struggle with the Terps last season. This season, they've gotten better. Still can get a little bit better, in my opinion, long-term throughout 1 through 6, especially with the 6 to 8 guys they play regularly, because I think the bench is going to be key as well. But they start fast, limit their turnovers, can force some turnovers with their defensive pressure, stay out of foul trouble, and make some shots. I think they will be successful. I think at least going 1-1 on the West Coast is imperative. And I think getting that win against UCLA, bringing your cumulative West Coast head-to-head to 2-1, like I mentioned, you get to 13-4, and then you're off and running with the Big Ten heart and meat of the schedule. Some crucial games at home. You've played well at home, and you got some tough road games, as mentioned, against Illinois. You got to go back to Ohio State. We know they want to get their lick back after you blew them out. You got USC coming here a little later, Iowa. You got Michigan State. You still got to go to Penn State, Michigan. So some big-time matchups coming up, both at home, on the road. We know the Big Ten is not an easy conference, but I think Maryland is one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the conference, and I think they should be potentially an at-large bid for the tournament. I think they could be a team that is maybe a 9 or 10 seed, maybe not playing on that first 4, maybe getting an at-large bid and having a potential to make a run at a Sweet 16. I think if this team could get to, I think they can win at least 1 game in the tournament. I think they're tournament worthy, and I think they can win at least 1 game. Now, with the way they're playing, Derek Queen, Julian Reese, Gillespie, Rodney Rice, some of the other pieces coming together, Selton Miguel, Kevin Willard really molding this team into his coaching style with the pressure, the ability of running the motion offense, of keeping the ball moving and running at a high pace. This team, I think, is tournament bound. And I would, like I said below, get your dancing shoes. What is your dancing shoe size? And what are you looking forward to seeing with this team in 2025? I think when you look at it, they have a lot of potential. Tough games coming up, as mentioned, Big Ten, heart, and media schedule, but they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the Big Ten. And currently, looking at the standings, they are right in the mix. They are right in the mix. I'm going to pull up the standings as I get ready to get out of here. And I hope everyone enjoys their New Year's Eve. Be careful, whatever you decide to do. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive, all that good stuff. Michigan State, 11-2. UCLA, 11-2. Michigan, 10-3. Oregon, 12-1. And Maryland, 11-2 up there with Penn State, Nebraska, 11-2. And Iowa, Indiana, Northwestern, 10-3. And Illinois, 9-3, who is also ranked. So not an easy out coming up. We know they already lost to Purdue. You got USC. You still got to play Ohio State again. So the Maryland Terps basketball team, we're going to see how good they are over the next month. starting with January, heading into February, Big Ten conference games, some tough opponents. And I think they got one of the best players in the conference, one of the best players in the country, one of the best freshmen in the country, Derek Queen. And I think when you play with him, when you come out, you're focused, you're locked in, you're not beating yourselves. I think this team has an opportunity against anybody in any gymnasium, no matter the site, neutral, at home, away, Big Ten, non-Big Ten, NCAA tournament, Big Ten tournament. They can make a run. And I think right now, as presently constructed, I would not be shocked if they can somehow manage a way to the Sweet 16. But what say you? Sound off in the comment section. Maryland, they're on the verge of being ranked. I think they're 25 in the coaches poll, so I think they will be ranked possibly as early as next week if they continue this trend. I think you go at least 1-1. You beat Washington, you beat Oregon, or however you want to do that. Maybe you beat both of them, and then you come home against UCLA. I would love to do a 3-0, but if you go 2-1 in this next 3 games with some of the teams you have home and on the road in the conference, these teams obviously new to the conference, combined 29-7, limiting turnovers, forcing the turnovers when you have the opportunity, making shots, making your free throws, making your easy drives in the lane, and staying out of foul trouble is going to be very, very imperative. And I think if Derek Queen is who he is, they're going to have to double team him. Then Julian Reese, you can eat down low. Gillespie, Rice, others, and the bench. Deshaun Harris-Smith made a big shot on Saturday. I know a lot of people were complaining about them sleepwalking through the game. They didn't cover the spread. They didn't score triple digits. It happens. This team is ready to go to the West Coast. They're ready to do business, and I think they have a shot as good as anybody in this conference to make a deep run. They are the last Big Ten team to win a championship, even though they weren't in the Big Ten when they won it. But give props to Willard. Got a guy in Derek Queen who looks like a projected lottery pick. Juju has improved. Rice, Gillespie, and others, Palmer. And Selton Miguel may be one of the key calls as well with his ability to stretch the floor as well. But sound off below. Give me a comment. Tell me Happy New Year. What are you doing for New Year's? What do you think about Maryland? What's your size dancing shoe? Are you ready for the big dance in March? How do you see this West Coast trip playing out? What are your thoughts for 2025? Predictions for Maryland football? Any other comments you want to leave us? Good, bad, or ugly? Leave your favorite emoji. We appreciate all of it in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, lay up it, block that bell, and make sure you slam dunk that subscribe button. Happy New Year. Can't wait for another big 2025 for Maryland basketball. And I'll be here to recap it after the West Coast swing and getting you ready for the UCLA game next week at College Park. It's the Flex Zone Podcast. Check out the interview with Jeff Erman and check out all the other content down below. Have a great day. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025.